Okay.
Wait.
We're here with my...
Wait, restart.
We can clip off the beginning.
Okay.
We're here with Lily Barrow, my niece Gavin's sister, my brother Scott's daughter. And how old are you, Lily?
I'm 18.
18. Okay. And Lily knows we're gonna talk about, you guys called her Nana, my mom, Bunny Vaughn, and for part of the project. And Lily, you've been following the project on Wattpad and on my blog, so you know kind of what the whole story's about. And then just as an aside, my daughter Sophie is off camera, but if you hear any wisecracks or she's eating some potato sticks right now, so you might hear some crunching. It's not us. We're not crunching. Okay, so Lily, tell me about Nana as you knew her. What do you know about?
Without any biases put in place because of what I know now, as a kid, nothing really stuck out actually. She, I didn't visit her. Well, never mind. Yeah, she was closer than I think my other grandma at the time. I don't remember when she moved, so I visited her somewhat frequently.
Like how often would you visit?
I don't remember because I don't even remember most of the visits. They were usually the same. I remember being excited about KFC on the way. She had lots of toys and I could take whatever I wanted home. Her house smelled like smoke really, really thickly and I really hated the smell.
Like cigarette smoke?
Yeah. And
did she smoke around you?
I don't remember. I think she must have at some point, but I don't remember particularly. And then her and Cliff would usually, I think, just talk to my parents in another room, and me and Gavin would eat chocolate, play with toys, and watch TV. Yeah.
And so you guys would. So did you interact with her much? Did she come play with you guys, or?
I don't think she would come play with us. I think she would talk to me sometimes. I don't remember exactly what about. Yeah.
What was your general feeling like you got from her? Did you feel the same way about her as you did like your other grandma? Did you feel?
I was so young at the time, so I don't think I felt anything about her that wasn't just, she's my grandma, she's nice.
She has all these toys.
Yeah, it was very vague feelings. Yeah.
Do you, so you guys would have KFC on the way. Did you ever eat at her house?
I think once we may have, because I remember particularly, she asked Dad if it was okay for her to pray, and now
for her to pray?
Yeah, because he wasn't religious. And now thinking back to it, I don't know if she meant that in like I guess a smart-ass kind of way, or if that was nice. But at the time, I was like, oh, that's very polite. She's respecting our non-religion, you know? So that's all I remember. I don't remember eating, but I remember before eating.
Do you remember Cliff, her husband? What was he like?
I couldn't understand half of what he said because he had a thick accent, I think.
Like a Massachusetts, I
don't remember what. I just know he had a thick, grumbly accent. Okay. I don't know. He was pudgy, very white. I don't know.
Do you remember the goat? Your brother said there was a goat.
Her name was Heidi. She was black, and I was really excited that she had a goat, basically. Although I remember the goat would like headbutt Nana, and then she would have like bruises on her legs because of the goat. And that was a little weird to me. And then she was tied up at some point, and she would just like run around in circles.
Around on the cord?
Yeah.
Did you go see her in the hospital when she had cancer?
I don't think I did. Not that I remember. I was actually really afraid of her when she had cancer, because at the time I thought cancer was contagious.
Because you were little too. This was, so when she moved to Statesboro, you probably would have been like 7 or 8. No, maybe younger.
I think possibly younger. I was really young.
When did she die? When did she die, Scott? Like 2010?
2011.
2011. So 5 years ago. So you would have been 13 when she died, and she was 6, so it was younger. Yeah. So, but the houseboat, tell me about the houseboat situation.
Okay, I really didn't like the boat because it was really old and rickety, and with every wave it would sway like this, and I thought for sure we'd drown. I think we spent the night in it once, and I remember hearing a story that the boat ended up sinking, right?
We did, yes.
Yeah, and the night that it sank, we were supposed to spend the night, but then we refused, and then it sank.
Was she on it when it sank?
I don't
No.
think so.
Oh, wait a minute, no. She wasn't right. It's like,
No, I think it just sank, yeah.
it just, and then did they get it out? Did anyone?
I mean, we all saw it coming. I knew it would sink because it was an awful boat. And it broke down a couple times, and it would
I wish I had a
rock
picture of it.
like this. And
There are pictures of it.
Where are their pictures?
I think I got some at home.
Will you send
I'll
those?
scan it, I'll send them. So the boat sank, and as it went down, it drifted under a $200,000 yacht that was for sale. The first time they tried to raise the boat up, you get
The
out.
$200,000 one?
No. The
The
people went in
houseboat.
to try to get rid of the boat, right? Get it out of the water. The first time they tried to raise it up, there's so much water, obviously there's a lot of water, but it was so heavy, they couldn't get it out. So they had to get like a special
Did they have to pay for all this?
insurance paid for it,
Oh.
right? But they finally got up with, yeah, $200,000.
How much? Oh, under 200.
Yeah.
So that, I don't know if this came up on the microphone. So the boat sank. You guys were supposed to sleep over, but you didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess you said it was moored in a slip with basically several $100,000 yachts, right? Or not yachts, but
Like
houseboats.
huge, like cabin cruisers.
Like cabin cruisers. And when Mom sank, it drifted under a $200,000 boat that was for sale, and then an insurance paid to get it out. Was she bummed out when it sank? Do you guys know?
I was happy. I didn't like that
We didn't know
thing.
right away. We kept it a secret for a long time.
I was just happy that I wouldn't go on it again.
Yeah, we told
like-
you guys that she sold it.
Yeah, I mean, regardless, I was happy it was gone, is what I mean.
Why would you tell? Why didn't you want to tell her it sank? Just because it was so freaky?
Yeah.
I think because the whole time when I was on it, I was afraid it would sink, and then
You just had a bad feeling about it.
I mean, it was a horrible boat, and every time a wave pushed it, it would go all the way. It would rock all the way to the side where you could see
Almost,
water. Yeah, where you could see
But
water.
a boat
out
like
the
that
window.
would do that?
No, so it was a flat hull boat, right? So it had a really low rise over the water. So if a little wave from the boat came, it would go to the side, and a little bit of the water would come up to the edge. But that's expected for that boat.
But
it didn't sink because of that reason.
Yeah, it still freaked me out.
Why did
though,
it sink?
A lot.
It sank because there was a low part where the engine was attached to it, and water was going in there, and that's pretty typical. But the pump that would pump it out with the thing, whatever, stopped working. So when it filled up with water, it lowered even more, and then it just went down. So if that pump was working, it would have been fine.
Oh, the pump. It was the pump that broke. So let me ask you this. So I know when we visited. Do you remember the time that we visited when Sophie was little? She was like 5 right
I
before
think vaguely.
my mom died, and we all visited. There wasn't a goat there at that time, but she was pretty sick at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But she didn't. I remember that stood out for me that she didn't really play with Sophie. She didn't play with you kids. You guys went in the basement and played, and she had a lot of old posters and toys, and she had these tin or metal mechanical kind of toys. Do you remember that?
I remember that there was a weird moment. She told me and Gavin that when she passed, we would get every single one, and there were tons. And
Did you get them?
I don't think so. I think Gavin brought one home that day, like a ship or something, and they would move.
But they were a little bit sharp. The
Yeah.
edges were kind of sharp. They were
Mhm.
copper or something like that,
Mhm.
or tin. But I remember she didn't play with Soph. She didn't play with you guys very much at all. That was pretty much how it was. You guys kind of
Yeah.
played.
Yeah, it was. They did their thing, and then we would go and watch TV and eat candy and stuff like that. Yeah.
Did you ever hear any stories about her, from your dad, about good, good stories, things you guys did when he was little or we were little?
Not really. Most of his stories actually came from he and his dad. I know from what I knew at the time, they had a really good relationship, but I didn't really hear many stories about Nana. I don't think. None that I remember. The earliest, I guess I had a feeling that something was off was when I was at Uncle Dick's funeral, and someone told me that I reminded them of Bunny because I was wearing a scarf and a hat, and I didn't know anything about her at the time, so I told Dad, and I was like, they told me I looked just like, or I seemed just like Bunny or something, and then he didn't seem like totally pleased about that, and that was a little weird. And I remember being like, okay, that's weird. Like you didn't, like you were super dismissive of it. So.
Did you know Uncle Dick and Earl Dean? Like you went to their funeral. Had you met them before?
I met them once.
And what were they like? Or do you remember?
I know that he fought in World War II, and that's all.
That's
all.
He
was really old. I just was over there. Yeah.
You didn't meet our grandmother, right? I think she died before you were born.
Did I?
Georgia Peach.
I don't think I did.
No, you didn't.
Georgia Peach. And how did the family seem at the funerals? Obviously a funeral, it's not fun. Did it seem like a close family, my mom's family?
I don't remember too much about it. There were other girls there. I was kind of wondering why I never saw them.
Right.
I must have felt something about them, but I don't remember it.
Did you meet Jack and Brenda and those guys too, and all their kids?
Did I? Because
were they there?
Who I did and didn't meet.
A few were there. Yeah, not the whole family, but a few were there.
So it kind of like we didn't. I didn't see my mom for many, many years. Sophie only met her during that time. But yeah, so it sounds like you guys. Because you see your other grandparents a lot, right?
Yeah.
And if you had to compare those, would it be a lot different?
It would be totally different because all of my memories of Nana come from being a kid, like a young kid. So I only remember her as a grandmother figure, and everything she did seemed totally normal, no matter what it was. And now, if I met her now, I'd probably have feelings about it, but I just didn't at the time because it didn't occur to me.
What do you think? You know this whole project that I'm doing. What do you think about this whole project? Do you have any thoughts about what brother Scott and I and sister Terry? Do you have any thoughts about that, or is that just you're just as it unfolds, you're kind of?
Yeah, it interests me. I think I would love to hear more. I would love for you to find out more because as dark as it is, it's my family history.
Right.
And so it's affected the people I love, the people who are around me, therefore it's affected me. And so I think it's important to know, and I'd love to know more about the project and, help in any way I can, but that's kind of how I feel about it. I spent one night looking at everything. I stayed up until 2 a.m. or something. It was really interesting. I just happened to come across it. So
You haven't come my stuff or other stuff?
Well, I was already reading your memoir, and then I looked at your account, and then I saw that. I was like, oh, this looks interesting. It's, more information on that. So yeah.
Oh, about my mom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or your grandma. Well, I have to say, it's like you guys are such great kids, you and all of the kids, and such creative, amazing people. And it's like a testament, though, to definitely your dad and your mom and the life you live. And this history is there, but it certainly there was some, like your dad said that my mom was a better grandma than a mom,
Mm-hmm.
and so some of that obviously came through, and obviously your dad was a really good dad, and so well, I probably will interview you again after I look at this and think about it, and
I think I must be missing a few things because I'm just not remembering, but I think
You think you cover everything? Because we talked the house. What I was really curious about, because I knew that it had sunk, and so I wanted to know what you guys thought about that, and and just generally, who she was and what she was like, and
I know she wanted to fix her upper when she was. We went house hunting almost with her,
I love it.
and she found this awful home that was completely decrepit. In my opinion, I was young, so maybe it wasn't as bad as I remember it.
Right.
But as I remember it, it was terrifying, and there was a spiders everywhere. It was really dark, and she's like, I think they were talking about big rooms or something, and I was like, how can you move in? This is an awful place. But I think she wanted to fix her upper. And that's why, but it just wasn't convenient for someone at her age to get that much of a fixer-upper. That's all I remember about her house.
Was she, and that's so weird, because when she moved that was in Statesville, right?
Yeah.
But she didn't have cancer at that point, right?
No, the house that Lily is talking about.
The decrepit one?
Monroe, North Carolina.
In Monroe?
And it was horrible cinder block house.
Yeah, it was scary.
That had a fire inside, and it was a huge mess.
Yeah, it was as bad as I thought it was.
And I remember telling her, "You can't live here." And this is classic mom, right? She says, "Scotty, we're not like you people. We can do this," or something like that about
Yeah.
living there and fix it up.
I don't know if that came out on here, but so this house that Lily's talking about it had a fire inside it.
Yeah,
And it was a fixer-upper, and my brother's like, you can't,
yeah.
this is too much. You can't fix this whole thing. And she's like, Scotty, we're not like you people. What did she say? We can do
We're
this.
not like you people. We can live here and do this.
We're not like you people. We can live here and do this. And I mean, that my mom was so into like fixer-uppers and stuff like that, correct me if I'm wrong, my brother's
Is that
way
where you
over
bought
there.
it?
That's where I got it from. My daughter just asked, is that where you got it from? But even when she died, didn't she move into like kind of a broken down trailer? Like she was on hospice. She wasn't going to live, like she definitely wasn't going to live for even a month, right? But then she got a fixer-upper. Like she had this like insurmountable like belief that she could fix anything, right?
Yeah,
And, I mean, even if she's not going to be alive anymore, you know,
yeah.
like she didn't have. And I always thought that was actually something good I got from my mom, because I really don't approach anything like it can't be done.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my dissertation is a really good example.
But I definitely remembered it being super bizarre because I think was Cliff into it, the house?
Cliff enjoyed having something to do.
Okay.
So she would tell him, "We're going to do this today," and he would just like, "Okay," and he'd do it.
She would tell him what to do.
Yeah, he needed direction, and she was happy to direct him.
Okay, yeah, because I kind of remember them not being super freaked out about the fact that it was awful, and I was trying to wrap because, you know, I lived in a really nice house, and I didn't understand how it was terrifying to me.
Right.
Like, I convinced myself there were, like, ghosts in it, and I saw, like, some human handprint on the window or something.
Well, because it's like, I mean, like even the houseboat, I mean, it probably, like at some point she should have said, I can't do this. Like a burned out house, it probably had water damage. It was probably,
It was
right?
It was awful, that house. It was like, when you went in and it was just like, I don't know. It was really weird. It didn't look like a house.
That is, well, thank you. And I'm going to look at this and we'll probably do another one if that's okay. And I'm going to try to get my daughter. Thank you, Lily.
No problem.
And I'm going to just show my daughter over here doing claymation. Sophie? Soph?
No.
Can you look for a second? You're on camera. Will you ever do anything on this project?
Never.
Never. So,